Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Snow Talk. Wave 3 meteorologist Brian Good filling in again for Kevin Harnett, who is still on assignment, and he will be back coming up on Monday. So I'll be with you guys again coming up for tomorrow. A lot to cover here. The ups and downs. We've been talking about this a lot. It's been an ongoing weather pattern, and I still see the trend continuing. We're still talking about ups and downs. And yeah, each one of these downs we have could be involving snow. Each one of these ups that we have could easily involve temperatures in the 60s and 70s. And I see this continuing not only through next week, but perhaps all the way through April. Personally, I'm hoping, considering we are the official hosting station of Thunder this year, I'm hoping one of those ups is near Thunder. Nothing worse than being out there in the water and the riverfront with cold weather. We've had that the past several years. It's not fun, as you all know. All right, so let's break down what's going to happen with the ups and downs for this upcoming weekend. I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to go beyond that because it'll get too confusing. So we start you off with the temperatures outside at the moment. We've got a south wind at play. I mentioned this on the newscast this evening. That is keeping temperatures from falling like a rock tonight. There is a drop that's taking place because the air is dry. We've lost the sunlight. So when you have dry air, the winds are a lot relaxed. You don't have any heating anymore from the sun. There is a natural drop that takes place. But what alleviates that drop, it keeps it from being so dramatic, would be a south wind or southwest wind that could be gusty, and we're having that tonight. So these numbers will fall a little bit, but they're not going to fall dramatically. As that south wind continues to increase overnight tonight, we'll see the numbers actually stop and then reverse and actually warm up. And we'll see that trend as we head toward sunrise. So kind of an opposite effect here as we head into the overnight. That'll set the stage for a windy and warm day. You see on the satellite, I mean, there's nothing really. I mean, there's cloud cover right here. That's really about it. And these are altocumulus. The sun can actually shine through several of those because they're kind of broken up in nature as they pass through. A wider view does show a couple of things I want to point out. First off, we have a warm front stretching all the way from the Canadian border through the Carolinas. Anywhere south and west of that line, that's where we got a southwest flow. And it's really going to tighten up here the next 24 hours, especially, even really 12 hours. And that's going to make for a very warm day. Now, there is going to be some cloud cover that will develop. It's not showing up here, but it will react to that warmth, and we'll see clouds increase tomorrow afternoon. And how quickly that happens, I think, will determine our high. If we cloud up too fast, we're not going to get above 64, 65. If we stay sunny all the way through the afternoon, we have a good chance of making it to the upper 60s for Friday, which will be nice. Now, there's a boundary that is going to move through tomorrow night. This boundary is going to move all the way through areas of Ohio and to Washington, D.C. As it does so, it's going to have a cold front, cold front attached with it. And that cold front is going to relax itself as it passes through. It's going to move through, and it's going to tilt to the side as it passes through and stall. Now, that front is not very dramatic as far as the temperature gradient. It will be cooler on Saturday because there's a front that it came through, but it's nothing too drastic. What is important about that front and the boundary it has is that it's going to set the stage for this bad boy right here. Area of low pressure, it's like a bowling ball. It's going to roll on out here into the southern United States. This boundary that is going to come through tomorrow night is going to set the stage for a colder air mass to the north, and this storm is moving off to the east. The combination is going to be a very complicated one, once again, for areas of Kentucky and Indiana. Let me show you what I'm talking about. First off, for tonight and tomorrow, as I mentioned, it should be dry, but that boundary will move in as a cold front as we head into Friday night. You see showers react to it. Now, there's a lot of dry air at play across the region tomorrow, and the models may be overestimating the potential for rain. The highest chance, I think, is going to be found from Louisville all the way up into Cleveland. This part of the front, the southern part of it, I think is going to be much more in question. So I've got a slight chance of a shower in the forecast, but I really think a lot of that may not materialize for tomorrow night. But keep in mind, if you're going to be out and about tomorrow night around that 10:30 time frame, you see some raindrops in your car, you feel raindrops walking around, keep in mind it's not going to last very long, it's not going to be overly heavy, but there could be a brief shower as the front comes through. Now, as I mentioned, the front is going to stall itself out to the south as it passes through the area for early on Saturday. Now, watch what happens when we see that stalling take place. The storm in the southwest, the bowling ball, if you will, begins to get its act together, and it's going to start surging to the north and east. Now, there's going to be quite a bit of rain with this. And here's a big question here. There's going to be some severe weather and perhaps even a tornado outbreak that could even develop in the southern part of the country. I'm going to be watching that. If we see that happen, it may really choke a lot of this moisture here in the northern side of it. We'll see how that plays out. But nevertheless, it's a potent system. There is going to be a sharp cutoff on the northern fringe and the moisture content. But as I stressed before, that front that stalls out is going to have cold air at play on the northern side. Now watch what happens when the storm enters that cold air. We turn it into snow on the northern fringe. And that is going to be a big debate we're going to have as we get into Sunday evening, as where is it going to run into that cold air and how far south is that going to extend? Is that going to be all the way just to, say, southern Indiana? Is it going to go all the way down to I-64? Is it going to go even further than that? We do not know for much certainty at this point because it's very hard to determine the gauge here of temperatures because, again, this is not Arctic air we're talking about. This is marginally cold air, but just cold enough to allow frozen precipitation. And it's going to be right on the fence in this area. So if you live along the north of 64, you have a chance to see it go to snow, if not mixed with snow, for Sunday night. If you're south of Louisville, I think you're looking at mainly a rain event here, all right? We'll see how the models are trending because these are based on models that are telling us what the temperature should be. So if they're not doing well in temperatures tomorrow or Saturday, say the models are too cold, then that tells us they're too cold even on Sunday, and we have to warm this all up, and this will be, this will all just be rain is what will end up happening if the models are off on the temperature profile. So we'll be watching that and observing that and letting you guys know how things are trending and letting you know how our confidence level is going. So how do the models see this playing out? Well, here's our in-house model, the RPM. It does see the potential here for it to meet the cold air, and it's spitting out some light accumulations. Now, this is not a snow that you would see in the middle of winter. This is going to be a wet snow. A lot of this will only accumulate on grassy areas. The roads should be just wet, but it'll be big flakes because it is a wet snow, and it could accumulate rapidly, especially if it waits until later in the day, closer to sunset. It has a better chance. If it falls during the daylight hours on Sunday, I really don't think any of this is going to stick, and it may just end up being just plain rain or snow that just melts on contact like we saw the other day. So we'll keep an eye on that. But anyway, the RPM model is saying it's going to be the boundary where the two are going to meet. The cold air and the moisture is going to be north of Louisville. Louisville stays all rain. Let's go to the next model. This is the NAM model, one I just showed you the wider view of. It's by far the most aggressive, but that's not surprising because the NAM has a tendency to be aggressive on snow, and sometimes it overdoes the idea too much and has a tendency usually to be a warm bias model. So if it's already showing a colder scenario of snow, that's a little interesting. But either way, it is showing the focal point mainly along 64 for the main accumulating burst of snowfall. And one more model here. I'm going to avoid the Euro right now because it is actually pretty similar to the NAM anyway. But here's the GFS model, and it's similar in the idea that it'll be pretty close to 64, but it's saying that the cold air is going to be centered a little more north and east of us in the bluegrass area, and very little, if any, would fall here within our main part, excuse me, of our viewing area. So a lot of questions here. As you see, this is not going to be a crippling snow and not a big deal. I'm not sure if this is really going to qualify for an advisory because the impact on the roads, I just don't know if it's really going to be there. But the fact is, it's going to happen on Sunday night, and temperatures are forecast at ground level to drop to about 29. So there could be some problems early Monday morning on the roads if this were to be a situation. So I'm just trying to give you guys a heads up to keep an eye on this as you make your weekend plans for Monday morning's commute. Hopefully, as we get more data tonight, and even tomorrow, that we can give you more confidence that this is going to be just mainly rain or whatever the case may be. But at this point, there's been a lot of talk about it already, and just letting you guys know there is at least a chance this could go to snow Sunday night. All right. You guys tired of hearing about snow? I think everybody is. But hang in there. First day of spring does kick in next Thursday. Regardless of what happens with weather, it's going to be officially spring next week. There you have it. Enjoy the warm weather tomorrow, but just be careful about those winds as you are out and about. There is going to be a high fire danger tomorrow, so don't do any of those campfires, all right? Stay inside if you have to.